Battalion 1.
We just had a plane crash into Alpha 4 of the World Trade Center.
Portugal, measure.
Welcome to Jack 2-3. When you see any movement in there, I want you to hit it. Out.
Roger. We're taking fire from airplane. Building 11211.
421, eastbound, red Pontiac G6, near passenger, George, Robert, X-ray.
Car standby. Car standby. 50 officer.
Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building, it was just a huge explosion.
Right outside the building, 33. We're outside the building. 744.
All right, good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here. Chance, Farmer's our guest on the show today. Good friend of mine, solid dude. Happy to have you here, bro.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome to have you, man. I got to meet you about a couple months ago, very briefly at an event we had, and it's awesome being able to hopefully get to really know you today. So yeah, I'm pumped about it.
Same.
It's gonna be good. So, Chance, Farmer, tell us about kind of the young version of you and where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? How did you land?
Well, I grew up like I think pretty much every Midwest kid from the country. Running around, hunting, fishing, biking. Was never inside. My mom used to lock the door in the summer, make sure none of the boys would come inside. That's just grew up a lot of outdoor stuff. Still love that. Went through school. School was never really my thing. Never really took off for me.
Common trend.
I think that's this room here.
Part of Posey County.
Posey County, gotcha.
Yeah. Out in the gravel road.
Yeah, on the
Yes. Yeah. God's country, we like to call it. God's country. We like my kids go to Wrights, so because my wife went to Wrights and we're in the cult.
you're in it.
So yeah, going to school was never my thing. Sports were. That was really the driver to even pass classes in school so I could stay eligible to play sports, mainly football. Really fell in love with that sport. That drove a lot of things for me. Graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA. I'm crushing it.
Advanced classes, I assume.
Well, so my senior year, here's what's crazy. My daughter, who is a sophomore, is in Algebra 2 right now. And, she's crushing it because she's smart, because she has her mother's genetics, thankfully. But she's in Algebra 2 as a sophomore. I failed that class my senior year. And she has 120% or whatever in the class because apparently you can do extra credit. I didn't know that was a thing.
I'd fail it right now.
She was doing her chemistry homework last night, and I was like, "You need help with that?" And she just turned around like, "Nah, I'm good, dude. Yeah,
Sit this one out, Dad.
Listen, bro, my daughter's in 4th grade, and I used Gemini last night to figure out a math problem. Real story. And then my daughter basically told me I was an idiot.
It's not a game.
I was stressed, bro.
It's not a game.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's that's how it goes, man.
But I graduated from high school. Went to play college football in McKendree over in Illinois. Decided that wasn't for me. It had kind of a falling out with a coach, and that 18, 19-year-old ego of, you said that I was going to start and I'm better than your dudes and I'm still not moving up in the depth chart. And
Sure.
So I left there, came home, still tried to go back to school, and school without the motivation for football just ended up with me not really going to school. So
Naturally.
yeah. So one of my buddies came home from Air Force basic training, and he was like, "Hey, I need you to go talk to the recruiter because I have to bring so many people in to be home on these 2 weeks of leave. So just come in and tell the dude you don't want to do this." So I go in, and the first thing the recruiter does is like height and weight, right? And I'm 285 pounds because I had just came back from college football as a tight end, right? So he's like, man, you're way too heavy. You know, you got to be down to 235. So, you know, you're gonna have to come back, or you can go ahead and go in the Army now, and you know they'll take you and they'll just get the weight off you. So with me, it was like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not good enough to join the Air Force, like join the military. You know, I'll be back, bro.
Yeah.
So I went home and ate lettuce and drank water and ran twice a day until all that weight came off. I was like the incredibly shrinking man. 2 months.
No shit.
Yeah. 2 months. Yeah. 2 months.
It's a lot of weight for 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went back and he was like, whoa, okay, yeah, you can, you know, you need to take the ASVAB now. We can start working the process. So I go and take the ASVAB.
I'm going to assume you were an ASVAB waiver.
No, I crushed the ASVAB. So 2 times that my mom was like really mad at me about my academic life, right, was when I took the SAT and scored a 12 something, like 1260. And she was like, you scored a 1260 on the SAT and you have a 1.7 GPA at North Posey taking Algebra 2. Like, you've been screwing off. Like, you're not dumb. You just have not been trying. Because I think she just thought I was dumb.
No, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of actual data that shows that. A lot of like mill kind of police operator types being very intelligent, but when it comes to sitting in a classroom and trying to sit still, they fail miserably.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
What if I did both? I'm not smart and I fail miserably.
We'll give you a saw, dude. We'll give you a saw.
I like to shoot, though. I'm comfortable there.
Yeah, you're strong.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I can pick things up.
That's what you say. We have smart Marines and strong Marines.
Yep.
You know,
I did really well.
you sound like a strong one. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You actually appreciate those more. They don't ask a lot of questions.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Air Force, your initial kind of attraction to that was just kind of by happenstance from a friend. You weren't. Was there something drawing you to the Air Force, vice the Navy or Army, or was it just, well, this sounds like a good idea?
It was kind of like, so after my buddy came back from basic, and obviously after football and just kind of swimming around and not really going to college anymore and all these things, I'm just like, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
You know, because I hadn't really thought much past playing football ever. So once that's gone, I'm kind of lost. And really didn't have a lot of direction other than, I guess I should go to college because everybody else does.
Similar story.
And then I'm like, but I don't like going to college.
Yeah.
So, you know, then he shows up and he's like, hey, just come talk to this dude. Like, you know, I know you don't want to do this, but just come talk to this guy because I need somebody to
help
do
a
that.
bro out.
Yeah, right. So, you know, I go talk to this guy, and of course he's like, this is how much it pays. And, you know, for a country kid from Posey County looking at that pay, you're like, you're going to pay me what? Like, you're going to pay me what?
He's being a recruiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we got all these different jobs and all these things. And I'm like, okay. But before we talk about jobs, you got to go take the ASVAB. So I go take the ASVAB, crush the ASVAB. I come back and he's like, all right, I got your job. Crypto linguist. I was like, what? What is that? That.
Well, you look back at it now and you're like, he had quotas to fill and he couldn't find anyone to do this job. So he was,
nobody could get the ASVAB requirement.
yeah.
And the DLAP
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got this quota to fill and he's like,
Did you have any language
sit down
at this point in time?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I just
No.
didn't know if that was like an added benefit.
No.
D-Lab is the language course for the military, or one of the language courses.
Yeah, it tells you like how successful
or
you'll
yeah,
be
it will tell you, correction.
at learning a language, like how likely you are to be able to pick up languages fast.
Yeah, I took it and purposely bombed it so they would never think about sending me to a language. Because nobody wants to just take a year off of being on a team to go learn Pashto.
Yeah, you didn't want to go to Monterey,
California,
learn
no,
Pashto for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, crypto linguist, it's a $20,000 signing bonus, all these things. And I'm like, sounds nerdy. Like, I'm not trying to do that. What else you got? What else you got?
You're like, what about for people who like to eat red meat?
Yes. So he's like, well, we got this thing called JTAC.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, oh, they call in the airstrikes and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, that sounds dope. So I go up to MEPS and I failed depth perception at MEPS.
Okay.
So then there's another recruiter up at MEPS that you go talk to, like right after you do all your physical stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you qualify for security forces. That's pretty close to JTAC.
And JTAC is, correct me if I'm wrong, Joint Terminal Air Controller.
Yeah,
right?
and security forces is not close to
It's not
JTAC,
that,
by the
no.
way. Yeah,
No. It's better than being a cryptologist. No.
closer, sure. Yeah. If we were gonna put that on a spectrum, it's nudging to the other side. To the other side.
Yeah, and I love.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
I mean, they have saved my.
Such a force multiplier.
I am a huge fan.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll get into later, like when we talk about RASP and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get into why I was doing all that stuff, because I was trying to make my way back.
That was one of my questions.
To JTAC.
I was like, yeah, are you trying to head that way? Because it looks like it. Like, why the hell would you put
twice?
No, if you're
twice.
No ambition.
Twice. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do security forces. Sounds great. So I sign up for it there, and I go back to the recruiter back at in Evansville, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing security forces. I ship in 3 days. And he was like, why would you sign up for that? Like, why would you sign up for that? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, dude, you're going to be like standing at a gate or up at a fence or driving around in some, facility.
Secured facility.
Yeah, he's like, you're a security guard. And I was like, oh. Well, see you around.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, you should have been a crypto linguist. So I end up heading to Lackland, Texas, San Antonio.
Okay.
So I head to Lackland, start going through basic training, and man, I loved it. Like, loved every minute of that stuff. That discipline, that, it felt like being back on the football field with the coaches, and, because from a generation of, the coaches weren't like, hey buddy, try harder,
Yeah.
They were rough, and our, drill instructors are rough, and there was standards, and, it was just like, yep, this is for me.
Yeah.
So I ate up every minute of it. Then went to, it's not AIT. I've been in the National Guard too long. Tech school. Air Forces, they call it tech school. So I go to Security Forces Tech School.
That's yours. Yeah.
Your MOS. We call it
MOS.
AFSC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to learn that. So that was like 6 months of different things, because there's so many different parts of Security Forces. It's a big career field. Security Forces. It's a big career field.
Yeah. Because I mean, and it's, people don't realize that, and the joke is always like, it took you 6 months to learn how to stand there and go like this to cars coming through the gate, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, and they had, at one point, they had broken the career field up into law enforcement and security, like Airbase defense and law enforcement. And it was going to be kind of like the Master at Arms program, where you couldn't just go directly into that. Like, you had to, come and be part of this first, and then when you showed maturity and these other things, they'd go and let you be a cop, basically.
Yeah.
But they brought it back together, and then, war kicks off, and you need bodies, and you need people standing at gates in different places all over the world. So, so when I went in, like, it was kind of like, you learned law enforcement, and then you learned security, and then you learned like airbase defense of what it would be like in an austere environment. And then we even did like small unit tactics, like patrolling and,
Oh, nice.
you know, all these things, because there was some security forces guys doing that stuff. So it was kind of like a very big breadth of stuff that we were learning, in that schoolhouse. And then you go to your first assignment, and since like I had no criminal history, a very vanilla drug history, you know, I'm a Midwest kid, and it's not hard to trace my lineage back anywhere. So
Yeah.
I got put into like the personal reliability program, which means you're slotted for a nuclear assignment. So I got sent to Whiteman Air Force, Missouri. Yeah. Knob Noster, Missouri. You guys know Missouri? You guys ever heard of it?
Exciting, man.
Sounds like a wild time.
Oh.
Sounds like Posey County in Missouri.
So the population of the base is twice the size of the city outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So the entire economy of the city or the town is the base.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, and then some. So go there. It's, you know, the nuclear assignment stuff. And then it's super boring to me. You know, like I'm standing on gate shacks that are like 15 foot in the air, watching a fence line. I'm
Just waiting for
waiting for him to rappel in, right? Waiting for him to rappel in, right?
They
Waiting
need
for
you on
Spetsnaz.
that wall.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Waiting for Spetsnaz to fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
Start Red Dawn. But
How do you stay motivated to do that job every day?
man, that is like great question. So
Because I've stood plenty of posts sitting overseas in
Yeah.
Iraq, Afghanistan, and there's always a potential of somebody shooting at you.
Sure.
So at least you have that to hold on to, and you're not completely bored out of your mind.
A
But
little bit of hope you're going to get shot at.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
and it's
so-
not too cold, right? Because it's but no, it's like, how do you do that time and time again? And I'm not saying, I mean, it's obviously necessary, right? But
Yeah, you gotta
it's
have
like,
those
how do you
guys.
keep guys? How do they keep you motivated? You
They-
can't lie and say, hey, we just got reports Spetsnaz is coming in to take this base over. But like,
it's kind of that like the beatings will continue until morale improves.
perfect. Yeah.
So it's more of like the punishment for not doing it is so severe that is your motivation to continue.
Yeah. So survival mentality
Yes.
is like career in life rather than getting
Yeah.
killed or attacked.
Yeah, so they make that penalty for sleeping on post so severe
Oh yeah.
that you better figure it out. And I mean, I've like hung off the side of this 15-foot high shack doing pull-ups
Yeah.
in the winter in February with no shirt on, because you're like, I want to be freezing to death so I don't go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. The tactics that you will use on yourself to stay away.
Pencil underneath your chin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always looked at it as like, I'm not going to be here forever. Like, cause I had aspirations of other things. So I always looked at it as like, okay, I'm going to use this for what it is.
Yeah. It's a great outlook on it.
I'm going to keep training, like physically, get my body in better shape than it is. Try to soak up as much, knowledge about things or whatever schools come available.
Yeah.
Because with that assignment, there is a lot of schools to go to. There's sniper schools.
Sure.
There's, all kinds of different stuff that you can go get into. So I just try to soak it up for everything I could.
And that mentality is, and we'll get into it, but it got you where you're at today, right? I mean, how many guys do you know that went the opposite direction and just hated their life, and then they got out and, it just killed their spirit? There's like, it seems like there's just like a fork in the road there.
Oh yeah.
And some guys do what you did and some guys just fail.
100%. And they don't even look for a way out.
Yeah.
Like you hate your circumstances, but you just sit in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And just take it.
get out, dude.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Find a way out. Do what you want to do. Yeah, but they would just like, woe is me.
So that drive, is that something that you kind of, I don't want to assume, but is it something you were kind of always had? I mean, I would assume from football days that that next level and that kind of ambition and that ego, right?
Yeah.
Or is it something that the Air Force really put into you, maybe from basic, or kind of where did that originate from?
So, like, I thought that for a while, that, like, you know, the Air Force breathed this breath of life into me that, you know, made me start wanting to be like a high achiever, right? But
Yeah.
that really wasn't the case. I never wanted to be average at stuff that I like doing or stuff that I respected, right? Like, I never wanted to just be the average dude. So that was always there. But football was that whole focus, right? Like, I don't want to be average at football.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the military gave me like this other avenue. And then, like you said, there's so many people that just kind of sit in that average spot and eke it out and grind it out every day. And I mean, if you work and you keep working, you're not going to be average.
Well, and, you know, it's more of a statement, I would say, but like I got to read just a little bit about your background, and I was talking to Brian yesterday, and I was like, you know, we were coming up with some ideas on what to ask you, and I was like, my first thought was, you're telling me that you were so out of shape that the Air Force wouldn't take you. And now I see you're a huge guy, right? Like, you were a football player, but I'm just like, man, that is like, what was the Coast Guard busy, you know? Like, the Air Force wouldn't take you because you were so big. I was like, man. But then it, you know, obviously it explains, you know, you were like, yeah, 2 months I dropped 50 pounds and, you know, I'm doing this. So it ties together.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yes, that's true. I was so out of shape that the Air Force would not take me. Would not take me.
I've never heard of that.
Hey, which is why it was a hit to the ego.
Absolutely.
Right? That you're like, wait a second. I'm not fit enough for you.
You need that one thing.
Yeah, like, I'm not fit enough for you. Okay.
That's
I'll be back.
Yep. When I was leaving to go, and it's not about me, but when I was leaving to go over to MARSOC, my first sergeant had to sign off on it, and he said, yeah, we'll see you when you fail and you come back.
Ooh, all right.
And I said,
won't be back.
All right, we'll see. Yeah, so I know what you mean. You need that little push.
Oh, yeah. And how often did you reach back and grab that?
Oh, every time it got tough,
right?
I was like, I will not go see that man again as
Right.
a failure.
Right.
I have found him recently on Facebook, and I'm thinking about sending him a message and being like, hey, you know that guy that was going to fail? Here's just some highlights of what I was able to do with that. You know, just be like, and not like in a dick way, but just like, thanks for being an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, thanks for giving me that little bit of motivation.
Yeah. And I know it was not your intention, so don't say it was.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, because that could come back.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I knew you always had it.
I knew I was mentoring you the right way. Yeah. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah. And, you know, I think with everything, it was kind of like that. Everything that I ended up going and doing, I had that same like chip on my shoulder, I guess.
Yeah.
Of I'm not going to be average. I'm not, you know, I'm never going to quit at something. You know, they're going to carry me out of here before that happens.
Yep.
I'm not saying those words. So yeah, I think it was just always there.
Something kind of inherent to your nature.
Yeah. And I mean, it still is.
Yeah. It feels like a primal instinct almost.
Yeah. It's a competitive drive. And not competitive with like other people.
Yeah.
It's like a self competition.
Yeah.
Like push the limit.
I heard this before, and I say it all the time now. Like there's nothing you can say to me that I haven't said to Amir. You know, like I am my own strongest critic.
Oh, and then some. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. To the point where like you get like a yearly evaluation, right? And you're sitting in that yearly evaluation and they're like, you're crushing it. And you're like, you don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm just, and to your standard, but to my standard,
I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not doing what I want to be doing yet.
Yeah.
You know? So it's kind of like I always had this own metric driving me.
And I like to ask a lot of questions just kind of like that, because I think a lot of the theme that we are kind of going for here is just kind of that why people were able to get through hard times or difficult or struggle or pain and become successful at the other side. And I think a lot of it is that kind of, inherent drive that you had as a child growing up.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's that, the best way I can explain it is that chip on your shoulder, that like you're not going to allow yourself to be average. You're not going to allow yourself to be somebody who quits.
Yeah.
I think some of my biggest failures in life weren't because I tried and failed at something. It's because I didn't try.
Yeah.
It's because I didn't go for it.
Yeah.
Those are the things I look back on and I'm like, man, I should have just went for it.
Your biggest
right.
things you didn't try.
Yeah, right. Not things I tried and failed at.
Yeah.
Those things are there, but those aren't defining. Those aren't defining.
No.
I think what's sad is maybe it was more our generation and earlier, right? That was kind of what it was to be a man. You figure it out, you get up, you go to work every day. It doesn't matter if you're sick, like you go, you provide. But I feel like society shifted so much the other way now, like with these kids, it's like, oh, you don't feel good, no problem, stay home. Or hey, it's hard, quit. It's okay. Do something. You deserve to do something that makes you happy instead of, I always told my kids younger at sports, like when my oldest was a really good wrestler, he's going through certain times of the season where he get injury. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, we're not, what do you mean? Like, we're not stopping.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to finish the season. And
Absolutely.
then he'd end up, going to, almost going to semi-state. You know what I mean? It's like, we're going to grind it out. We're going to work. And then at the end, he's like, Dad, thanks for pushing me. Right.
Yeah.
But like, where do we lose that? Like, why did this stop? Why are we seeing such a shift? Because it's scary to me. It's scary to like, are we not making men anymore?
Well, I think there's a lot of, there's obviously that million factors that go with that, but there did seem to be a shift of like, comfort was the number one priority in everyone's life, right? Comfort above all things, and then the self, right? There was this idea of, our grandfathers got up, quietly went to work every day and suffered through it because he had a family to feed, right? And the grandmothers, they, suffered in silence on feeding these kids and getting them to where they go and working themselves, right? And then it's like, now it's just like, self-care and, it's all about you. Just focus on you, and that focus on, why we do the things, it seems to be lost.
Yeah, you deserve
comfort is more important.
Comfort's more important. I want to be comfortable, right? So we are at a time in our culture, our society, that we are the most comfortable we've ever been. It is the easiest time that we have ever had relatively to like the search for food.
Oh, in human history.
In human history.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? We have air conditioning and heat, and it's in your vehicle. Comfort
people are constantly miserable.
There is more antidepressants being prescribed now, anti-anxiety meds, all these things. We are more miserable than we've also ever been.
Yeah.
Explain that. Because we're chasing something that we really don't need.
And you completely kill the ability to even build resilience or discipline.
Exactly.
And when that's gone, it's just, I've got a scratchy throat. I'm going straight to the doctor to get an antibiotic and all of the medication I can, just because it's a little uncomfortable, instead of just, working through it or whatever.
And I'll say, like, the times that I have chased discomfort.
Yeah.
Right. I have felt better about me than any other time.
Yeah.
Right.
The coldest and wettest and most miserable you ever been in, the reward that you get from that.
Oh my gosh. It's unreal.
You can't describe it.
No, because you're moving a meter.
Yeah.
You're resetting an expectation, and that is so powerful.
Yeah, there's one of my instructors here, Dan Gaffney. He said this to me years ago when we first started training. He said, Brian, the water tastes better when you carry yourself, and it's always stuck to me, man.
That's a great line.
It was very powerful, man. And I, I've pushed that on my kids, and it's so true. It's like, when times are tough, but you work through it, the reward is so much better.
Well, and it's breaking that comfort zone. Like me and some friends, we host a monthly ruck, right? And I always say, like, doing hard things makes you better men.
Yeah.
You know, you could be waking up on a Saturday morning and watching TV and drinking coffee and doing nothing, or you can come out here and get a little camaraderie and sweat it out and do a hard thing. And I guarantee you're going to feel 100 times better at 9:30 in the morning after doing this.
So, in the physicality thing, you know, I totally agree with that. Like, you have to push yourself physically to get some of those benefits, right?
Yeah.
But mentally, we're also not getting in discomfort, and we're being fed stuff, you know, from social media, all these things. Like, it's developing an algorithm to bring you what you want, what you want to see, confirmation bias, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we're not even challenging ourselves mentally. Like, we're not getting in discomfort mentally by challenging our own ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like, it becomes outrageous to people to challenge somebody's idea.
Oh yeah, no. And man, I could talk about this all day, but I want to get back to your story. 'Cause no, I love your story. So let's keep going with that. So you're getting some school, some opportunities.
So I
towards the next thing.
Yeah, so I got on a deployment and went to Iraq in 2006. It was in Western Iraq, and it was, you know, your run of the mill like Airbase defense deployment.
Which base was it?
Al-Assad.
Al-Assad.
Yeah. So I went there, was there for 9 months. Came home from that, and
what did that look like? Was it like airfield security, like a normal day?
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of like doing the nuke security thing in a desert.
Yeah,
right?
with not a lot around.
Yeah, but again, I mean, I used it. Like, went to the gym every day, was running a lot. You know, I had an earbud cut off by a major because you couldn't. It's a funny story. Yeah. So, on that base, you couldn't run with 2 earbuds in for whatever reason. You could only have one in.
Oh, so you could hear the sirens go off if there's a rocket attack.
Yeah, like you're not gonna hear the rocket, but okay.
Yeah.
So I'm running with 2 earbuds in, and you know, I run past this guy, and he catches up to me and taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, 1 earbud," and I'm like, "Okay," put it back in, and you know, get away from him at a distance and throw the other one back in. Like a week later, I'm running again, and I'm running past, and it's like a whole group of Marines moving to the chow hall, and
hell yeah,
I'm running past them, and one comes out of the pack and crosses the road and stops me. It's the same dude. He has major clusters on.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, this is not gonna go well." And he was like, "Hey, you remember me?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "All right, you got 2 choices. We can go talk to your CO about this, or you can lose one of those earbuds."
Ooh.
And I was like, "Well, I guess I got 1 earbud."
Yep.
And he handed it back to me. I was like, "Okay."
Man. No, man. If I was on Al-Assad and those Marines you were talking about, they were getting that Air Force chow. They were pumped.
No, we were eating Marine chow, and I was not pumped.
Single-minded like Air Force chow. Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, we ate Marine chow, and I was not pumped.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's usually like bits and pieces of MRE. Continue.
Yeah. So, was on Al-Assad, did that deployment, came home after 9 months, came home fit, you know, because it was all there was to do.
Yeah, you just work out and eat chow. Yeah.
Work out, eat chow, and go to work.
Yeah.
So came back from that. There was an opportunity to go to RASP. And for us, like in security forces, they only get 2 slots of Ranger School a year. Hard slots. Everything else has to go through WTC.
Yeah.
So if you go to that course, then you're competing for, you know, one of the 2 slots per year that we get. So that was my motivation to go to Ranger School.
Yeah.
Mainly because if you're going to cross train and do another career field, you have to build like a packet.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my motivation was always to go back into JTAC, because I ended up later passing depth perception because, you know, MEPs, like, they're not giving you a lot of instruction.
No,
Yeah,
that's
they're just like, fail.
Yeah,
you're out.
Yeah.
So I ended up passing depth perception and was able to put a packet in. So before I put that packet in, because I still had to do my career field for 3 years before I cross trained.
Yep.
So part of that packet, I wanted to get in there that I was Ranger
Yeah.
qualified.
Yeah.
So that was my motivation for going to that. I had absolutely no business being there.
Why do you say that?
So I really didn't know what it was. Like I'm looking at this stuff and I'm thinking it's going to be just this like physical event.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to crush that.
Yeah.
But then I get there and like, yeah, that's the first part.
Yeah. And then it's like problem solving and planning, like and
mission planning and development
and
briefing and op order.
Oh yeah.
And all these things. And I'm like, op order, what's
that?
Yeah. What do you do with that? You know, like I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I've heard that said before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the bread and butter of everyone in the Army and Marine Corps. You
Yeah.
know, it's like everybody knows those types of things.
They're like, what are your troop leading procedures? I'm like, drink water.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I learned a lot there. You know, as I'm going through it, like what I need to work on to come back. And like they do a brief out with everybody, you know, like, and tell you straight to your face, which is something in leadership that like I absolutely loved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that we have really gotten away from in leadership is like just having a candid conversation with somebody and being like, hey, this is where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, did it feel great? No.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like take that and go do something.
Yeah. Give me something I can work with. Don't just kind of give me this fluffy story. You know, you want hard evidence of what you need to actually work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them said, you're a mule, but that doesn't mean anything to me. There's a lot of mules out there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, got it. So I left there, went back to my unit. Then I got on another deployment for Iraqi police transitional team.
Yep.
That was a fun one.
So your motivation to go to RASP, because I saw it on there and I was curious it seemed like you were headed back towards that kind of JTAC. I didn't know if you were like the ambition was over in like AFSOF, Air Force Special Operations, either being like a combat controller or TAC-P or one of those things, right?
TAC-P.
That's what you were looking to, okay.
Yeah.
Because then RASP made sense because I
Right.
was like, why the hell would this guy go to RASP? He didn't have to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, the plan was always to go that direction. When I got on this second deployment, I put in a packet at the same time and I was like, cool, I'm going to go hit this deployment, work out for a year again, you know, study about all this JTAC stuff, make that my focus, come back and then go to school.
Yeah.
Well, my orders dropped while I was in Iraq.
Kind of derailed you a little bit there.
And they're like, nope,
Yeah.
next, back in the chute. Yeah. But then, you know, I promoted and then that's a whole different packet when you're an NCO and it's more competitive. And
What was your rank at this time when you got promoted? Where does NCO start in the Air Force?
E5.
E5, okay.
Yeah.
And that is
Staff sergeant.
Staff Sergeant. Gotcha.
So then I got promoted, came back home, was back in the unit and got approached by our NCOIC of operations to go back and work with the Office of Special Investigations.
Yeah.
The Air Force Office of Special Investigations. You know, some of the stuff that we had done in Iraq with like informants and, you know, developing intelligence and all that kind of stuff, with the Iraqi police transitional team mission. It was just kind of a natural fit.
Sure.
So I went there. I went to the Office of Special Investigations.
Now that's very different from being a JTAC. What kind of drove you to want to kind of go that route? Was it just because it was an option?
It was
to
an
do
option.
something different that
Yeah.
is, you know, cooler than
Yeah.
standing at a base?
So I get, you know, turned down for JTAC because I'm deployed.
Yep.
So now I come back home and they're like, hey, I got this.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, do you want to go stand on the wall or do you want to go do this? Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just something different.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, I've always been a believer of like, you never know what's going to open up a door.
Yeah.
So I wasn't big on saying no to stuff unless it was something I really didn't want to do. But I thought it was interesting, what we were doing over there. So I did that for a couple years. And that was counterintelligence. We did some counter drug stuff. It was a lot of surveillance work, a lot of informant work. Went to some pretty cool schools with that. Some of them at the Special Operations Training School down in Herbert Field.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been to Herbert Field.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We did like you heard of responsible officer course? It's like a counter surveillance thing. Then there's like the military deception.
Yeah. I see that. I think, and I could be wrong, but like some of the counter intel stuff is very big on that type of training,
Yes.
right? But when you talk about surveillance and close target reconnaissance and, technical surveillance and all that, that was a little bit more of my world back in the day, but yeah.
Yeah. So I went to a lot of that stuff, a lot of the counterintelligence schools, and then a lot of like interview and interrogation schools.
Yeah.
And those were awesome.
Yeah.
And I really liked that stuff.
Learn
Like
how to
sitting in the box
waterboard
with somebody.
people. Yeah. No.
No, we don't torture anyone.
Yeah. Or did you have to go to SEER?
No,
Really?
no, I never had to go to SEER.
Yeah. I was curious when I was seeing all that and you're talking, working with informants and this and that. Usually SEER is a requirement for that kind of course, but yeah.
No, yeah, we never.
You're not missing much.
I never had to do that. Yeah, thankfully.
It sucked.
Yeah, it never sounded
both
fun.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it never sounded fun.
Yeah.
So left OSI and
And how many years are you in at around this point? Like 8 years, roughly.
no, that's 6, 7 years.
Okay,
Yeah, about
gotcha.
7 years at that point. And then got stationed in Florida at a ground combat training squadron, which is like training security forces folks before they go
Yeah.
on their deployment. That was a cool job. Love that job.
That's cool.
We got a lot of cool training there too.
Yeah, and it's another tool to put in your tool bag of like, I know how to train people.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bad thing was I get promoted again,
Yeah.
and now I'm like promoted out of being able to cross train.
Mm.
Like the only cross trains available now are for you to go be a drill instructor or a recruiter or stuff like that, like broadening assignments.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm out of it now. That dream's dead,
Yeah.
so to speak. So I was there for a couple years, 3 years, then went to Kyrgyzstan to shut down Manas.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hung the chains on that thing and walked to the plains.
They had a nice little like restaurant bar thing there going on.
Yeah, that tent
Yeah.
with the Baltica 9s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, I've tried to find that
Man,
here
that was-
forever.
I haven't thought about that country in a long time. Kyrgyzstan doesn't really just pop up in day-to-day
No?
conversation. It's not very often, no.
Did you go downtown Bishkek?
No, we were only there for a couple days. And
Oh,
I just remember flying in being like, this just looks like a Soviet Union fallout bunker.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
what, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're just eating like turnips and eating borscht and just sad and gray everywhere.
So we went downtown and, you could get like a steak and all kinds of stuff. It's like $20
Yeah.
and eat like a king.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
was awesome. So we were there, shut that place down, came back. And when I came back, my unit had closed because of the base reconsolidation, the BRAC.
Yep.
So they moved everything to Texas. Well, everybody that had been there 3 years or less went to Texas. Everybody that had been there 3 years or more got orders out. So then I got orders to Minot, North Dakota,
Real warm this time of year up there.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, you know, maybe I'll try out Mexico now. Like,
Yeah.
But so I went and talked to my chief and was like, hey, there's no way I'm going to Minot, North Dakota. Like, I'll do anything else. So they ended up sending me to Portugal for a year.
That's cool.
And that was cool. Like, it was on an island in the Azores out in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So
add some more perspective of the world, along the way too. Yeah.
So worked real close with the Portuguese. It was a lot of fun. I'm not allowed to go back.
I got a couple countries like that.
Yeah, I got kicked out of that one. For violating their 293 years of sovereignty. Sounds much worse than it is.
Yeah. Was this like on the national level incident?
Yeah,
that affects national policy.
So
Chance Farmer did something wrong.
So every month we got a memo saying that I had 30 days to vacate the island.
Oh man!
And for 6 months I stayed there.
Yeah.
A political pawn.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
coming together now.
Yeah.
That wasn't a very like those first couple weeks after that. So there was a U.S. service member that had caused some domestic violence.
Sure.
Off post. The way the Portuguese authorities work, they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But one of the other people that are there called back to the unit that they were from, which is Lakenheath.
Mm-hmm.
Their commander calls our talk and says, hey, this guy's in Angra and he's beat up his wife. We need you to go apprehend him. So I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. But first, our technical agreement says you have to ask the local authorities to intercede, right? So we did that and they're like, no, we're not getting involved in U.S. stuff.
Yeah. So
then the next thing it says is you need to ask the military police to intercede. And they're like, yeah, we're not getting involved. And I was like, cool. So I'm going to send my folks out to do it. And they said, okay. And to me, like, if I'm like, hey, I'm going to take your car and run to Costco real quick. And you're like, okay, you can't say it's a stolen car.
Yeah.
Right. So okay to me means permission.
Yeah.
So I sent him out. They grabbed the dude, brought him back. And I'm like putting my clothes on. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm like putting my clothes on. I go in. And when I get to the talk, like every Portuguese officer is in there. And I was like, oh, this is probably not good.
Yeah.
So I walk in and I ask the interpreter what's going on. And he's like, well, you violated our sovereignty. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. Violation of a national sovereignty.
Yeah.
Kind of high on the list of
car. How about that?
Yeah. So I need to be on a plane and out of here now.
Yeah. So I called my commander and he was like, all right, I'll come down there. So he was talking to their commander and I certainly didn't make matters better by doing this, but there was this Portuguese officer and he was like yelling at some of my dudes.
Yeah.
Like, who authorized you to go? Pointing at him. So I slid in between him and I was like, if you need a name for your report, don't spell it wrong.
Yeah.
And he did not.
Yeah. 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 So. He had his sacrificial lamb at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a testy 2 weeks.
So after Portugal, you just for the sake of time, because I want to get to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And get Brian into this conversation because that's where I get lost on all the LE stuff. So,
yeah. So after Portugal, I come home.
Yep.
My wife's already been back home. She's going to nursing school. I start working for a corporation as a physical security analyst, and was just like, what have I done with my life? Not that being in the Air Force and like, especially in the job that I just had was super kinetic or anything.
Yeah.
It was just lacking that like structure and purpose, like that well-defined purpose.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm at this corporate building doing these things, but I don't really see, other than every other Friday,
yeah,
why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and that was a struggle.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Losing that like such well-defined purpose and then going into something just for something that I don't really like. Money's not a driver for me.
Yeah.
It never has been. I mean, everybody likes money,
Sure.
but it's not been something that really pushes me to do stuff. I mean, obviously from, you know, my background,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to make money, and I've never pursued any of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was kind of lost at that time on like, what do I want to do with my life? And being a cop was never something that really like struck me as a job I wanted, because what I knew of law enforcement were dudes that sit on the side of the road and pull people over for speeding.
Yeah. That's what they do, right?
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like that.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't want anything to do with that.
No.
But there was actually a guy in a church that I was going to. He was a chief of police in Mount Vernon, and he's like, man, just come out and try it. So I did. And, you know, some of the dudes that were working there, prior military, it felt a little bit more like that brotherhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, this is something I want to get into.
Yeah.
You know, so I start pursuing it, but cops don't really make a lot of money. And even though money's never really been a driver for me,
still got to pay the bills.
Yeah, $20,000-$30,000 pay cut is a rough conversation to have with your wife who is going through nursing school.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
It's like, you're going to do what?
Yeah.
For what?
Well, because it seems on the surface level that everything in your Air Force career was leading towards something in law enforcement. Just because of the background and the things you were doing, right? But it seems that now talking to you, it was almost, you know, that kind of drive we were talking about earlier of just doing something and getting to a next thing, that it's almost like it just accidentally worked out for you. Where you're like, hey, yeah, I'm in law enforcement now and I've got a stellar background to show that I can do it.
So I'll tell you, like, my faith has really strengthened in like the past couple months. And I believe that, you know, when you're open to things, right, and you're not afraid to try new stuff and not afraid to get into things, there's paths that open up, right? And I didn't know that this is where I was going to end up. It certainly wasn't where I wanted to end up when I was, you know, that 24, 25-year-old dude that wants to go do kinetic stuff with operators.
Yeah.
You know, that was the path that I thought I needed to go down and what I was, you know, called to do and driven to do and all these things. But then life starts happening and, you know, your priorities change and all these things. And that never happened for me. And at the time it's like, it sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But you never know where your path is taking you.
No, if you would have told me 10 years ago that, hey, after a career, 20 years of being an operator, you're going to go work as a development director for a nonprofit, I'd be like, you are crazy. And here I am, and I love it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's cool how these things come.
You know, and I want to just circle, excuse me, I want to circle back to a little bit where you were talking about, you kind of lost that purpose. And I think, especially like, you know, probably the environment that will listen to this or that we're engaged with, like, that's a big thing, you know? Because I was right there when I retired. I'm like, man, I don't know anything else. Like, what else? This is it. Like, this is why God made me. And now life sucks, right? Yeah. It's very dark and not having that purpose, man. But I think, you know, as we do these things is giving those guys the hope there is purpose, right? It just looks different now. You know, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And being okay with that, you know, there was actually, he is the U.S. Marshal now for the Southern District, and he was a team guy. And he told me one time, he said, Brian, he said, listen, if you had a point in your career, you had that magical team and everything felt good, you're blessed. You'll never find it again.
Yeah.
You'll never. So quit looking for it. Be happy that God gave you that opportunity and move on to the next. And it was kind of like, man, like he's right. Like I'm still searching for that, but I'm not going to find it. So it's time to put that down, you know?
Yeah.
It was so powerful.
Dude, it's like the meme of this, you know, this like young Army kid kitted up, getting ready to, you know, stack on a door, and it says, you will never be as cool as you were when you were 19. And it's like, you hear it, but when you realize it, you're like, oh, but I think it's disappointing if that's the only thing that defines you.
Yeah.
right? These guys that their careers were everything to them and they can't let it go. And it's like, look, it's seasons of life. Like,
It's an identity.
I wanted to be an operator forever. And then I started having kids. And now I got 4 little kids, and being home every night is 1,000 times more important than kicking doors for me now.
So I had to get there, and it took me a while.
I'm still working through it, but yeah.
Like,
It's not easy.
yeah, like, what is my purpose, right? Like, be a good dad.
Yeah.
Like, do you need more?
What better call is there to
Yeah.
be like a great husband or father or man?
Yes.
Yeah, because when you chase that other thing, I realized I was being selfish.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I was chasing that purpose for Brian.
I'm like, I know that chip. I have that chip. And you know who corrects that chip? My wife.
Ooh,
Very quickly.
yes.
She is just the
You
thief
got a good one.
of my ego joy.
Yes.
And it is needed.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, so I didn't want to get off there, but I thought it was important to touch on that because I think that is a huge struggle. Dudes in law enforcement, military, or just in general. Like, I think men need a purpose, right? And we feel like when we lose that, it's like, I'm lost.
And having that purpose, and then having that like-minded tribe of people that you work with, just they reinforce each other. In law enforcement, military, it's the same culture.
So that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Having a group of dudes like this,
Yeah.
right, of like-minded individuals, all totally different backgrounds, right? Like, we all, until being in this room, like, we're all not from the same thing, but the ideals are there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're all talking about pushing our kids to do hard stuff. We're all talking about these things. So getting in those rooms with like-minded people, right,
Yeah.
that have the same values as you, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
That's so big. And staying out of the other rooms.
Yeah. That community that you build. I mean, like, I really just met you today, and I'm like, yeah, I can hang out with this dude.
Yep.
We're in the tribe.
Absolutely.
It's like,
And
there doesn't need to, I mean, everybody that I meet, sometimes, if they have that background, it's like an extra little, like, okay, all right, yeah, we could hang out. Yeah.
Just that connection. Maybe not with Chance in other countries that he's not allowed to go in, or you.
You can't go to
so-
Portugal.
Maybe not Chance pre-Air Force when he was 287, but I'd have been like, bro, you need to get your life together.
I did. Yeah.
So what, EPD, and then, so what are you doing now?
Man, so I was at EPD for like 5 seconds. So I did the reserve thing, was like, I want to do this, but money's not right. Wife starts working, all that kind of stuff. Money starts getting right. And I was like, okay, I want to go to EPD. They're paying the most. They have the most stuff going on, like, detectives and like
Sure.
all this different stuff that I can get into. So I'm like, that's the route I'm going to go. Also because the Vandenberg County Sheriff's Office wouldn't allow me to have tattoos. So
Those dastardly tattoos.
yeah, right.
Which now they've approved.
Yeah, which now they've approved. Yeah. So went to EPD, went through the academy, all that stuff, got on. And while I'm like getting ready to go into FTO, my buddy calls me and is like, hey, I'm going to start this police department at Deaconess. Like, I want you to come help me get it going. I'm like, okay.
And based off your resume, it's like, you're the perfect guy for this.
Yeah, I guess he thought so, right?
Yeah.
So I go over there and like leave EPD after only being on like 2 weeks on the road. Go over there, start getting everything set up, because starting a police department, it's not like a thing people do every day.
Yeah.
So had to get a bunch of stuff in place. There was a couple times it didn't even look like it was going to happen. Finally get everything done. And he walks in my office and goes, hey man, I'm leaving. And I'm like, we have like 4 weeks and we're about to like start.
Yeah.
Like dudes in uniform in here with
He's like,
Deaconess
I don't
police.
want this on me if it fails. So
You're going to do great, bro.
But there was like I didn't know what was going to happen. Like, I didn't know if I was going to get another boss or what. And I mean, Brian will tell you there's some folks out there from that community that you don't necessarily want to be your boss.
Certainly.
So I started putting some feelers out, and, I went back and applied for EPD and applied for the sheriff's office because they allow tattoos now.
Yeah.
And, was gonna just like, all right, I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
I'll see what happens here, and then I'm gonna exit stage right.
Yeah.
And then they came to me and they're like, hey, we're gonna offer you the chief of police job. I'm like, what?
Pays a little bit more than the EPD.
Yeah, it pays a little more, and I thought about it, and I'm like, so I get to build my own thing.
I was just going to say, like, what a cool experience to be like, hey, here's this thing. We need you to create it. And
Yes.
It's your baby that you are building.
So that was where I was like, you know what? I'm going to step up.
Hell yeah.
And I'm going to do it just for that right there.
Yeah. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it very well, or I'm not going to do it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had to think about, like, how do you do that? Right? Because typically everywhere that I've been in the military, you inherit things.
Oh, yeah.
You inherit people, you inherit culture, you inherit all this stuff. And even when you show up somewhere, and like even when I was the NCOIC of operations in Portugal, I inherited a culture when I showed up there. And then you're fighting against that culture, trying to change it if it's negative.
Yeah.
So you have to spend all this time trying to get the culture to standard and then push it where you actually want it to go.
Yeah.
And all the time you got people kicking and screaming, and you're, fighting them, getting rid of some of them, all that stuff. So I got to build a culture.
Yeah.
By the people that we recruited and brought in.
Yeah. You got to build a tribe of like-minded individuals around you.
Yes. And we have amazing dudes.
How many like total staff officers do you have there?
So we're at like 40.
Oh, wow.
45 police.
I thought it'd be like 10 or something. Yeah. That's
and then,
a lot.
I mean, we have like 200 something staff.
No kidding. And what are kind of the primary functions of what you do for Deaconess?
Okay. So for me, like as a chief, and I'm also like, I have two titles. I'm the chief of police for our police department in Indiana, and I'm also the director of security for the health system.
Got it.
So yes, in Indiana, like we have a police department, and I have a lieutenant in the central region, and then I have a lieutenant in the Indiana region. And they take care of a lot of the day-to-day stuff with the police department and security and dispatchers and, all those different functions. But then I also have to reach like over into Illinois and do like security, like physical security assessments.
Yeah.
Dealing with their contracted security, because they don't have their own police and don't have their own internal folks, so they have to pay armed security. And then same thing in Kentucky. I'm constantly having to look at their structure and all these different things that go into securing a healthcare system that is violent. I mean,
yeah, I was going to ask
violent.
what is like the what's like, I don't want to say a normal day, but like what are some of the normal disruptions, we'll say, that you primarily deal with there?
So the Department of Labor statistic is that 78% of all physical violence in the workplace comes from healthcare in all Department of Labor jobs across the United States.
It's a frustrating place to be.
Right?
I could see that.
And so you have these folks that, like my wife, she's a nurse. She didn't sign up to fight people. She signed up to take care of people.
Yeah.
Right? So, but you put them in this environment where they are constantly getting their hair pulled and spit on and grabbed and scratched and all this stuff. And I mean, that is backbreaking for some people.
Absolutely.
So we've really focused on like when somebody starts to get irritated, or that that's the type of person you're dealing with, back out of the room and call us. Like our dudes sign up for that.
Yeah. Like I'm here to get kicked and spit on and scratched so that you don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to do that, do it to me. Like that. And we train for that. Like that's what my guys come to this job for.
Yeah.
Is to stand between you and that.
Yeah. Stand in the breach.
Yeah. So call us.
Yeah.
And they have been. So like we went from, and this is where culture is really important, because if you bring the wrong people in that aren't bought into that mentality,
you can't have the hothead that just wants to
thump everybody, right?
Yeah.
No, not at all. It doesn't
Step
work.
one is punch this person in the face. You never called Brian to come and actually do some work? Because
No,
you'd
so
probably be sued out of
so
existence right now.
Brian trains our folks on very kinetic things.
Yeah.
He is not our de-escalation trainer.
No, he's the violence trainer.
I was never sent to that.
What is? I don't even de-escalation.
Who came up with that?
No.
I can't imagine why. He's like,
Full
"I
stand.
de-escalate a problem."
Yeah, when they're unconscious, the problem is over.
I mean, you meet violence with more violence. That's what I thought. I thought that was the goal.
Violence matters, man.
It absolutely does. Sometimes it absolutely is the only answer.
So, how long have you been doing this?
So I've been at the place I'm at now for 3 years or 5 years. I've been a chief of police for 3.
And then, what is like your normal? I don't know, cop lingo. You get a call and you
Yeah.
got to go do something. Like, what's the kind of? Is it like every week? Is it every month? One?
Oh, it's every day.
Every day.
Yeah, it's absolutely every
So
day.
you're busy then.
Yeah, our guys are.
So there's
Busy.
enough to keep people not standing on a wall, staring into space, wondering what's
Oh
happening.
yeah, that's not
that's
happening.
good.
I mean, and it ebbs and flows, right? Like, you know,
Sure.
Our guys have, you know, downtime.
Yeah.
But it's not like a day's worth of downtime. It's not a shift's worth of downtime.
Yeah.
Because they're calling more. So like out of creating that culture of people that want to do this job and they show up and they're nice to the staff and they're nice to the patient until it's, you know, time to not be.
Until it's go time.
Yeah. You know, they got confident in our response. So they went from calling, like when we had contracted security, they would call 60 times a month between 2 campuses. Well, now they call like 400 times a month.
People got to learn, right?
So,
If you act like that, we're going to call.
yes.
But I think something important to point out too is like one of the locations is probably in one of the highest crime rates in the city.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting, you know, this is not just people coming in there that, oh, my back hurts, right?
Yeah.
These are people that are looking for fentanyl, looking for those things, right? And they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it.
Oh yeah.
So I applaud these guys because they're dealing with a lot of stuff that, you know, we as cops on the street would have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But we can make it go away by going to jail. I mean, these people, they have to get medical care, so they got to deal with them. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a different environment, man, and you got to definitely hold your tongue and control yourself a little more in that.
I feel like you would have to be very diplomatic on the way you do some things there, you know, like have some patience or.
It's not diplomacy or patience as much as it is like the type of person that we've sought out to hire for that job is past a lot of that.
Yeah.
They're past a lot of that ego needing to be stroked by,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to show this person.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they don't need to show you.
They're not
will.
showing up to work ready to fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will,
Yeah.
but that's not like they get nothing from that.
Yeah.
They've done it so many times that they get nothing from thumping a person.
Yeah.
So
You
you,
know what I
think
mean?
it's fair to say that you kind of look for older seasoned cats,
Oh,
right, in law enforcement that have
Oh yeah.
been there, done it, kind of sowed their oats, and now they're just like, hey,
Got it out of their system.
yeah, you know, and you know, I'll say that for me in my first part of my career, I pull up on a run like, who's fighting? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Right. The end of my career, I'm like, bro, I don't want to do this. There's a lot of paperwork. Like neither one of us want to do this. If you're down, we'll do it, right?
Yeah.
But man, I'm trying to get home. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
have 3 hours of paperwork, so I'd find myself talking my way out of situations. Like, bro, you're a tough guy. I probably don't want to. You know, let's just, you know, let's just get away from this.
It's like you do it enough, and then you're like, all right, there's some real consequences to this. You know, it's like,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm running into buildings, and I'm like, you know what, let's just back off and drop a 1,000-pound bomb on it. We don't need to go in there.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
let's just.
So I think so that I would dare to. That's probably a fair statement. Then you're
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking for those seasoned guys because for one, they're like experts in verbal judo.
Oh yeah.
They don't talk themselves into stuff. You know, they're experts at talking themselves out of stuff. And with not just with the guy they're dealing with, but also the staff. They're able to
Yeah.
bring them down
Oh
too.
yeah. That's a good point.
So everybody feels more comfortable now because the whole temperature just lowered with that dude showing up.
Man, and before we get out of here today, I wanted to ask you, like, we talked a lot about like the chip on the shoulder, right? Where I think that's very necessary. Just like the guys we were talking about, they have this kind of ego going into this, especially when we're younger, right? Is it something that you still carry today, or was there a way for you to kind of kill that ego to be where you're at today? And the reason why I'm asking is I had to really kill an ego to be able to do what I do today. And
Yeah.
it's like, the drive is still there, but it's like it's a much more measured approach now, kind of like these seasoned people you were talking about that come in there and are able. They're not looking for a fight, but you need that when you're younger. That you need that fight, right? But then, kind of how have you worked through that? Or are you still you got that chip and you're still ready to go?
Man, I would say it's there.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know that it'll ever leave me. But I will say that, like, I have been humbled so much in my life at this point that my ego doesn't factor as much as it used to, because I just don't think that much of myself to feed that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I've been humbled so many times. It's like, well, who are you to think, you know, you need to exact this from this situation or whatever. It's more of that.
yeah, yeah.
It's more of like meeting people where they are and, you know, trying to figure out how to get things done. Like keeping this as a focus, not this as a focus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good way to putting different things into perspective.
Yeah. Looking outside me.
It's like instead of being violent or ready to go, right? It's not about how tough you are. It's kind of your potential for that,
Oh yeah.
right? Actually, my brother, he's a cop, and he actually told me that one day, and I always remembered it. He was saying something like, you know, people think that, you know, cops are military or, you know, special operators are just these big badasses and they're real violent and tough, and it's not about that. It's about their potential for it. You know, it's always there, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the differentiating factor is that they don't walk around and try to fight people all day anymore. That's kind of like a straw man guy, right?
Yeah.
They're the guys who can be calm, cool, and collected. But if that thing switches and they have to, they can turn that dimmer up and they can react, and then it's a bad day.
Yep.
So yeah,
It's always
that's
there.
cool.
It's
yeah,
just,
it's always there. But it's not a switch; it's a dimmer.
yeah.
And I learned that from Brian last time. Yeah, and I like, yep, that's
That
correct.
was definitely because I don't ever want to lose that switch, right? I think God gave it to me for a reason.
That's right.
Sure.
And I want it to be there if it needs it. If I need to protect somebody, protect my family, or you stand in that threshold, you know, between good and bad,
Yeah,
I want to be able to flip the switch. But now it's more of like, you know, at home, I'm, you know, instead of flipping that switch, I'm like, whoa, bro,
Yeah.
turn that dimmer down. You're getting a little hot.
yeah,
Getting a little hot over
Yeah.
your kid's homework because you can't do it and she's in 4th grade. You know, like I'm ready to fight my fourth grader because she's basically telling me how incompetent I am. But so, Chance, I think, you know, in my career, I worked for some good leaders, some bad leaders, right? And now here at the Country Club, I try to take some of that in my quote leadership role of what did I like about good leaders and micromanaging and some of those things. So, you know, from your transition, you know, all your time in the military and still in the military and what you're doing now, what is a good leader? What does that look like to you? What do you try to strive for every day? You know, I going back to your part of your conversation when you were in that unit and you stepped in front of your guys at some point, right, to intervene, like, hey, you come to me, right? You're deflecting from them. To me, that's a leader, right? Even when it's uncomfortable. So what have you brought from those experiences into your current position now?
So I think the biggest thing I was lacking in the military when I first became a leader, like a formal leader, like where they're like, you're in charge now because of this rank that you have.
yeah,
Was that I thought you motivated people by pushing them to exceed the standard, right? Because that's how I was motivated. So I thought everybody should be like that.
yeah,
And I figured out, and not really I figured out, but I had some leaders that kind of met everybody where they were and figured out their why. Like why they want to be here. Because especially when you look at like big military, everybody has a different reason for being there.
yeah,
And they are vast. But it's still one mission to accomplish, right?
yeah,
So you got to dig into those and figure out why you're here so I can motivate you to still get this done. So whatever that why is, like finding that why for people, digging into that why, like what motivates them, what makes them tick, and then being that like servant leader,
yeah,
is huge, because nobody wants to follow the dude that's, you know, even the carrot and the stick guy, like nobody wants to follow that guy, even if it's a lot of carrot or it's a lot of stick.
Yeah.
They want to follow somebody who's there for them.
Yeah.
Who stands between them, who stands up for them, who, you know, leaves them alone when they're confident and capable in their job. Just lets them go.
Yeah.
You know, I really feel like my job is to just keep the car out of the ditch and then give them what they need to make it run.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to do any more than that.
I think that's an awesome perspective. It's like, you think that everybody's kind of like you whenever you're, you know, this is how I got here.
Yeah.
It should be the same way, but it's more like identifying each individual's strengths. And that's through genuinely caring about that person instead
Yeah.
of treating them like a body, right? And like, you may not be the strongest or the smartest or whatever, but you're really good at this. Let's drive you towards that. And then you can, you know, achieve things instead of just sitting down here getting, you know, shit on all day because you're not, you know, meeting my standard.
Yeah. And sometimes you got to frame stuff up for people, right? Like,
Yeah.
So even the guys that were in the military and even some of our folks we have now, like our PSOs, that are not cops, they're security. It's a pass through, right? So, okay, cool. I'm with you there, but you still need to carry yourself like this. You need to get out of here with some good marks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then use this for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you have to find that why of, okay, I understand that this isn't your end all be all, but don't get demotivated by that.
Yeah. If you're going to do it,
yeah, let's
do it to the fullest of your potential.
Let's do it. And let's figure out where you want to go next. And,
Yeah.
and let me help you get there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want you to sit here.
Yeah. Especially if you don't want to be.
Especially if you don't want to be. Yeah. Like figuring out that path, like where do they want to go and then helping them get there. I think a lot of times people get sucked into this, like, why would you want to leave what I got for you? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to advance yourself past this? And that's an ego thing, right? Like that's an ego trap.
Yeah.
Of like, why don't you want to ride with me?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, well, I'm doing the same thing that got you here. So, you know.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a lot of like meeting people where they are and then figuring out where they want to go and being that servant leader to get them there.
Yeah.
Making it bigger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that I picked up, I went to a leadership thing and it was talking about, you have to understand what kind of person you're talking to and how they hear you, right?
Mm.
Like I'm a guy, like you can scream at me, it don't shut me down, it drives me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But some people can't handle that, right? And some people aren't built like that. So you got to understand, like, okay, who's my audience right now? You know, like my older son, I can scream at him like, bro, you're being lazy, get up, let's go train. Cool, don't bother. My younger son, he doesn't respond like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think a big part of that leadership is understanding who your audience is and how to communicate that with them. And, you know, what is their drive? You know, like me, I'm an idea guy. Like I'll come up with 13 ideas today for new businesses. Cool, let's do it. Chance, you ready? Paul, yeah, let's move. And then, okay, but the execution part is where I fall a little short because I've got 38 things, right? Spinning over here and I can't control it. So understanding what each one of those bring to the table, like you said, you know, and putting them in those positions to make them successful instead of making them do something they don't want to do.
No, and I think something you said there is really interesting. That took me a long time to figure out is like figuring out your own weaknesses, right?
Oh yeah.
So as a leader, figuring out your weaknesses and then looking around and telling people I'm weak at this, right? And then finding those people that aren't.
Oh yeah.
Because again, it's not about you. It's about success. It's about, and whatever that metric is for success, right? Like that's
right.
You know, whatever that is for you. It's about driving to that. So like just lean into your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Everybody's got them.
When you got that chip on your shoulder, it's hard to find them sometimes. But no, you're right, dude. It's like when I love talking to people. I will talk to strangers at Walmart just because, well, Walmart's a target-rich environment for that. But it's like there's always something that will surprise me almost every day. You know, you'll have a bias or an idea or some type of, you know, stigma attached to this person by the way that they look, and you've already assessed it and on who they are. And you start talking to them, and maybe they are exactly that person. or maybe they will tell you something that you never knew or you never expected. And it's like, man, that there's something to learn from everybody. And instead of thinking you've got this plan and it's perfect, maybe that person that you would never expect comes up with this brilliant little tidbit that's like, that just changed the whole course of this operation. That's great.
Oh yeah. And like I read this book once. I know that sounds corny, but I read this book called The Mission, the Men and Me.
Oh yeah, I've read that.
Yeah.
Is that who wrote that? Oh man, it
was a CAG guy.
It's Paul Howe, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Pull that shit up.
But so in that book,
it's a great book, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It talks about listening to the guy on the ground.
Yeah. 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 That who wrote that?
Pete Blabber.
Yeah, I was way off. Paul Howe wrote a book too. I can't remember what it's called. Really good.
So, in that book, it talks about listening to the guy on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard to do sometimes whenever you have this vision of how you want things to play out and you've set everything up for the dominoes to fall that direction.
Yep.
And then dominoes start falling and one domino is sitting there and they're like, this don't work, boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to like humble yourself and go, okay,
yeah,
what should we do?
Yeah. And don't just tell me it won't work.
Yeah.
Tell me what your solution is to make it work.
What should we do to make it work?
Way. Yeah.
And let's back up and change this. You know,
the guy on the ground is so important though. I mean, that just like the perspective. I mean,
well, you don't know what it's like. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're out there.
Yeah. I mean, I had a company commander one time send us out on this, we were assaulting this compound, middle of the day, terrible timing to do it. We're out there, we get ambushed, and we're in the middle of this gunfight, right? It was my squad, and I was in charge of another squad. So I had 24 guys underneath me, and I was like 23 years old. Luckily, I had rotary wing overhead. So I was calling, close air support with that, trying to maneuver these people out of the middle of a poppy field. And my commander is on the radio every 10 seconds asking for an update. What's the situation? And I said, the situation is still developing. Click.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm done. I'll let you know.
We're done.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, I'm working this. Like, let me do my job. Let me get to a place where I can take a breath and make sure that half my squad isn't dead. And then I'll call you and let you know what's happening.
Yep.
Infuriating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I could probably go out on a limb and say that leader was worried about him.
Oh yeah. He
wanted the info right now so he could push it up.
He wanted it because he wanted to control the helicopter and not me. And I'm like, you are 1,000 yards away from us and have no idea. He wanted me to describe the situation so that he could tell the helicopter where to fire. And they're over top of me.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, yeah, man, you see all these guys over here? Yeah. Light it up.
Yeah.
That was my JTAC experience. Like, panic. I don't know what I'm doing, but all the bad guys are over there.
I see them that way. Yeah.
Light them up, shoot rockets, missiles. I don't care, man. Just get them off my ass. I guess that was my JTAC training. It was effective, sort of. But
JTAC's over there working 4 radios, talking to 4 different types of aircraft.
Stacked aircraft, trying to fix wing, rotary wing,
different munitions.
I think that was a big, and even in law enforcement, that was something that we struggled in, especially when we started doing like more high risk stuff, right? At the end of my career, I mean, we would do 3 or 4 barricades a week, legit. Like people were barricading up. People were not afraid to shoot back at the police anymore.
Yeah,
it was a normal thing. And like we're trying to work a problem that's ongoing, and we're having leadership like, hey, what's going on? What? I'm like, bro, like dude just shot. Give me a second, right? I'll let you know. And it's kind of like just stage down there, and we'll let you know. So it's frustrating when you have leadership that's like that. So I've tried to bring that here for me and my team. It's like, let them work the problem. Make a decision, bro. Even if it's wrong, make a decision. We'll chat about it later.
We can fix it.
We'll fix it.
Nobody's going to die.
Yeah.
We can work this out.
Calm down.
So trust is an important aspect, right? And you would like to think that in somebody that your agency decided to put with the U.S. Marshals and to go and do this every day, that they would trust you enough to deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not, armchair quarterback and want to be involved in like all these things. Like
that control.
oh,
They want that.
it's
control.
ego.
Yeah.
But it's also the guys that have they've never been in a barricade. They've never been shot at. They don't understand that chaos that you're just trying to calm down for the moment. And they're like, so they can push it up to the next level. It's like,
here's what we did.
Calm breeds calm.
Here's what we
And
did.
panic breeds panic.
Oh, 100%.
You know, if this person is just panicking, trying to
Ratchet
get this net, it's going to ratchet you up. Like, am I not doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now? What's happening? And you've got enough problems going on.
we always say chaos is contagious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that.
It is very, very true.
Yeah.
So,
but
well, Chance, man, it's been an honor to have you on here, bro. Definitely want to have you back sometime and dig into some of this more. But first, I appreciate your years of service and your continued service, man. I salute you guys 100%, and I know what a challenge it is for you in your current position and what that looks like, and how I'll leave that alone. But how that can be. So kudos to you for doing that, and what a legacy, bro. Like, to say that you were part of developing an agency. So in 30 years, when Chance is gone from there, you're still part of that. So that's awesome, man. I applaud you for that.
yeah, man, like I just being able to meet you. I mean, Brian's strictly law enforcement. I was strictly military, and you were kind of that hybrid. So it was fun. We both had some idea, but bringing that all together was really cool. And I think that what you're doing is awesome, man. So thanks for coming in here. It was a cool conversation.
Yeah. So again, thanks for being here, bro. It's been another episode of The Watch and the War. You guys tune in for more.